Malo le lady sam bula talo hadi talo fo kem the modi halo le keto one to karaki na ko mai halo nem belong malo le soifua moa malelangi mama maa Brian Sangala event specialist with another episode of Talanoa Moana, where we highlight one of the amazing stories within our Pacifica diaspora. And this evening we are joined by the incredible Tafafuna'i David Laumatia. We are coming to you live and direct from his studio in Auckland, and as you can see, it's a very beautiful studio where he creates all his master art pieces in that, and we're going to get to that shortly. Now, firstly, just to tell you a bit about Tafafuna'i, a retired police officer who comes from a line of police officers, including his father, brother, and two sons, navigating the world as a New Zealand-born Samoan through his art. Tafafuna'i David has self-published 2 books, which include art, photography, and poems. More recently, he's found his niche in his Pacific art depicting Matai and Tupou, and recognises the importance of these figures in Samoan culture. A very warm welcome, Malo Soifua Fionga, Tafafuna'i David Laumatia. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and for allowing us to come and join you in your studio, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, pleasure to have you here, Brian. Welcome to have the famous Brian Sangala in the house.
Stop it. Very good. But thank you again. Really appreciate it. Firstly, before we get into your art journey, you are from a long line of police officers, the brotherhood of the blue line, if you will, brothers, sons as well. If we're looking at the Laumatia Ainga and the extended family, how many police officers in total would you say?
Oh, sure. Gosh. I haven't really done a count, but what you've already mentioned, my dad, my brother, 2 sons, that's 4. My cousin Jeremy Stewart, he's in the police, and my other cousin, my mum's side, there's at least 6 or 7 of us that are in the police. So,
wow.
Yeah.
A calling, or how did that all come about for your Ainga in terms of serving in the police?
Well, I wrote a book called, and it was titled Accidental Cop. Memoirs of an Accidental Cop, and that was because my dad saw that I was mucking around, and he went and got an application to join the police, and the rest is history. Yeah. And my brother followed me afterwards after his awesome league career, and then my 2 sons also joined the police. So yeah, very, very blessed. Dad was a role model, really.
30 years, 3 decades in the force. When you look back over your time in the force, how many years retired from the force?
It's been about 5-6 years now.
When you look back on your career over 30 years, what are some of the main things that come to mind in terms of memories or life lessons?
Probably in short, life is short. Make the most of it. 30 years in the police had gone just like that, and we saw the worst of the worst, but also met great people. So from policing and that, there are good people, and you see also the ugly side of life.
One thing I always like to ask police officers, whether currently serving or retired, Tafafuna'i, when you've seen the very best and the very worst of human society in terms of keeping your heart with all diligence and maintaining your mental health, and that, for you, what was the way of dealing with some pretty horrific things, no doubt, you've seen in your time in the force?
Yeah, I think the first maybe 18 years of my police career, alcohol, I'll be honest, and the police culture of dealing with the stress and the and so forth played a big part. But that led to me, asking the big questions of life, and that's when I became a Christian, sort of like 20 years after being a cop, and God's been good. It's been really, really good in my life and in my career. It's been awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Police officer, How do you transition from a police officer to an artist, and how did that all come about, Tafafuna'i?
Yeah, I used to, as a kid, I used to sketch, muck around at home, sketching cartoon pictures and comics, and later and later in life, I think I was about, what am I, 59 now? Maybe 51. I thought,
wow.
I better go and I felt like I wanted to go and do an art class. I went and did a portrait class on how to sketch faces and that.
Yeah.
And then I did also some painting class, and the rest is self-taught, and my style developed from there.
Yeah.
That's good.
When you talk about style, and we can see a number of your lovely pieces behind us, Tafafuna'i, describe your style as an artist.
Yeah, I think I've been in the game painting and selling my art, throughout the world now, actually. I've sent stuff to America, Samoa, Australia, and of course through New Zealand. I'd say my art is expressionism, mixed with a bit of impressionism, and I'm very basic in the way I paint. And I think this picture here behind us illustrates that I often just show a solid figure and I cast light from one side.
Okay.
And it's quite a simple way of capturing a form, but I think it's become my style, and people recognize it a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, you've got a number of pieces. Why did you want to highlight this one in particular? What is the special connection with regards to this piece? Can you tell us a little bit about it and the creation, the process of creating it?
Yeah, that particular one is similar to one that's at Batsman's Brewery. Have you been there before, Batsman's Brewery?
Where's that?
It's in Morningside.
Morningside.
The Samoan guys who own a brewery, and it's for generally centered around people who get the beer.
Oh, wow.
And they bought a piece like that, almost like that. But back to your question, I wanted to highlight it because back, I'm 59. How old are you?
I'm 55 in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are, I think you mentioned we are first generation New Zealand-born. Eh?
Yeah.
So growing up in the 70s and early 80s, being Pacific with an afro wasn't really valued, eh? And you grew up back in the 70s, and a lot of people would call you names like coconut and that sort of stuff.
Oh, we can go down there.
Yeah, quite offensive names, but you don't hear that now because they've sort of matured as a country.
Well, not to your face, eh?
Yeah, it's true, eh? So as you can see, the afro is made up of a lot of colors and just random things, but I wanted to highlight the beauty of and the pride of being Samoan and wearing and being proud of who we are.
Nice.
Standing proud, standing tall, and not being shut down anymore. So that's one of the paintings I like.
Can you tell us a bit about that? In terms of being New Zealand-born Samoan, you're very proud of your Samoan heritage, and I mentioned your Chinese ancestry as well. Ni hao ma.
Mum will be very happy to mention that.
How does that inform your art, and even maybe your time in the force? Because when I look at a lot of these pieces, they're very strong and powerful images, but yet for many of them, I don't actually see faces.
Yes,
which I'm sure is intentional.
Yeah, one of the very first paintings I did, and that is also sort of buys into my style. People recognize, Dave doesn't do faces much, but it's funny. I told you at the beginning that my first art was doing faces in that, so I can do faces and I can do it quite accurately. But for me, I wanted to do art where it could be anyone.
Nice.
And so someone can look at a picture like that and say, that reminds me of my uncle. If you had a specific look of a person's face, people might not relate to it. Say, that looks like someone I know. But so what? Whereas where I did the swipe of the face, for me it was that so anyone can relate to it, and it could be anyone. Yeah.
in the introduction, I mentioned that your current passion regarding your art journey is highlighting matai and tupou. Taupou, my apologies, and of course your matai, Tafafuna'i Sanapu. Well,
Yes,
I think
that's right. Yeah.
What led to this particular focus on these two pillars of Samoan culture for you?
I think, yeah, that's a legitimate question. Growing up as a New Zealand-born Samoan, where my language of speaking Samoan hasn't been very good, and I think it's not too uncommon for New Zealand-born Samoans to sometimes struggle with their speaking Samoan, their identity.
Sure.
You know, I went to, as I said, growing up, some people would call you coconut growing up. And then I went to Samoa for the first time and had rocks thrown at me, you know. And then,
what was that all about?
Well, we were walking along and my cousin said, "Run!" And I said, "Why?" He said, "They're saying Balangi." And I said, "Who's the Balangi?" He said, "You! Run!" So I was literally running. I could feel the stones whizzing over my head as they yelled, "Shut up, Balangi!" You know. So there lies in the challenge of, what am I? I was like, man, I'm in New Zealand, I'm a coconut, and in Samoa, I'm a palangi.
Yeah.
So, long story short, you settle in your own heart that you're a New Zealand-born Samoan. And as my good friend Tony Solomona says, I'm as much a Samoan as anyone.
Yeah.
And you know, even this time last year, I got my bet done.
Oh wow!
At the age of 59, and
wow,
that was a big step. And then, as I said, I thank my friend Tony for encouraging me down that path, because it's not an easy path to take. But that was all part of finding myself and trying to learn the language, which I'm still, you know, in the process of. But focusing on the matai and the taupou and that is important to me, because I hold a high chief title with my family. And I remember my dad saying to me, "Dave, I want you to get a title." And I said, "Oh, Dad, I can't speak Samoan properly, you know."
Yeah.
He said, "I know," he said, "but it's not just about the ability to speak Samoan. It's about how you carry yourself within the family, how you lead, how you set an example." And that convinced me, after him asking a couple of times for me to go to Samoa and to be the first in the family to take a title. Yeah.
Wow. When we look at your art, we're surrounded by beautiful pieces. Tell us a bit about some of the elements that you use in your art and the reason behind those choices. Say like acrylics, a very big part of your art. Reasons behind using these particular elements in your art, Tafafuna'i.
Acrylics basically is a lot easier to paint with.
Okay.
They dry quicker, whereas oils, which I have experimented with, takes a lot longer to dry and is a bit messier. But what I started to do was do the mixed media and using flax for the body work and feathers and that. And I thought, why not? I actually haven't seen anyone do it in the Pacific art world, and I thought, why can't you use that? You know, why can't you use real stuff and mix it in with painting and that? And there was born a style, and it's pretty much recognized now.
Mixed media.
Yeah.
What is mixed media?
It's the media is what you use. Acrylic is the media.
Sure.
Paper is the media. Steel, anything you can use is a media. And so when you say mixed, it's anything you chuck on there, and it gives that a 3D sort of effect, and people are drawn to that. It sort of makes a picture pop. It's different, and it's a bit of experiencing, and it's trying to find that balance of not too much and not too little.
Yeah. Can you share with us a bit about your creative process? For example, for the piece behind us, does it have a name? This particular piece?
Oh no, I don't have a total for that particular piece. But
on average, how long to create a piece like this, from the concept through to the finished?
Maybe only about 3 to 5 hours.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Very. I'm very impatient.
Yeah.
I don't like to spend hours. When I see someone say, "Oh, I spent 200 hours creating this piece.
Yeah.
I go, heck, I ain't got 200 hours, mate. And okay, so you're going to sell that piece for 5,000. You spent 200 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that equates to about 40 cents per hour.
Yes.
So I'm just sort of thinking, I haven't got that time. So I paint fast. I paint with purpose, and I try to paint with a message.
Yeah.
I.e., being proud of who you are, dancing, like in the background. Showing that Saupos aren't just there for dances, they're real people.
Yeah.
They're your sisters, they're your aunties. You know?
A lot of people hearing your process would say it's quite in line or pragmatic with regards to a retired police officer, right?
Yeah.
And just get the job done.
Very pragmatic, yeah. And so a lot of my art is just capturing life, you know, and capturing people.
Yeah.
People buy art because they're emotionally attached to it.
Wow.
I'll show them a picture, and quite often it'll bring them to tears because, oh man, that reminds me of my grandfather, or that reminds me of my dad who's passed, or that reminds me of me growing up, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel as an artist, Tafafuna'i, when buyers or people that view your art have that strong emotional connection?
Oh, it's a beautiful feeling, eh? It's art is like its own medium. It's different from, say, singing. You know, people that can sing, I know I can't sing.
Yeah.
People that have a beautiful voice connect at a level spiritually, and I think art does that as well. That it has a way of connecting, and most people have never ever received a piece of art personally.
Yeah.
To say, hey, here's a piece of art for you that I want to gift you, and it often brings them to tears.
Wow.
Because it's quite a unique experience, I think.
How many years in total been painting now, Tafafuna'i?
About 8-9 years.
How many pieces in total, approximately, would you say, to date?
Oh my gosh, I'd say over 500, easily. Yeah.
How does the creative juices keep flowing? Do you ever go through dry patches where you just have nothing? It's like a desert of creativity, and then other times it's like a waterfall where it just bang.
Yeah, as I shared with my friend Tony, sometimes it comes in dreams.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes it comes in dreams, which I believe are inspired by God.
Awesome.
And I might not know why I'm doing it, but it'll speak to someone. It'll encourage someone. And quite often my art will have a cross or something. I always try and hide a cross in the picture somewhere.
Yeah.
Not always, but quite often I do.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I know that my gifting is, as you know, in your giftings, to speak publicly, and that is a gift from God.
Yeah.
And so God has to factor into everything you do. And it's a blessing. It is a real blessing and a real gift. Yeah.
Of 500 or so pieces, Tafafuna'i, can you highlight maybe one or two that, for whatever reason, just resonates with you above all your other pieces?
I think it was one of the pieces, as I previously mentioned to you, that is purchased at quite an expensive piece, actually.
Yeah.
So that was a good win as well. Learning that your art is really valued, but more importantly, the message of pride. And it was similar to this one here, where I used real synthetic hair as an afro. Yeah.
Who's here? And did you get permission?
Yes, my cousin's.
While he was sleeping.
I mean, yeah. He woke up. He had a pitch. It'll grow back, Yeah, but.
No, but for real, you use real hair?
It's synthetic.
Synthetic.
So,
Sorry.
Artificial.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like a real afro.
What the?
Yeah. So there's a guy very similar to this one with a real afro.
Yeah.
And he's got his arms folded, and that's right. I put a what do you call it? What do you call it?
A mask covering?
Yeah, across the
surgical mask or something? No.
Oh, it was like a tied
bandana. No.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but what I wanted to portray was growing up being muzzled and being silenced.
Wow.
For who you are. Yet.
Wow.
Underneath it was this powerful image of a Pacific Islander standing there with all his muscles in that.
Yeah.
With a better and saying, hey, you might muzzle me right now, but coming forth as someone who's very proud his roots, very proud of who he is, and you can't silence me, you know.
Nice. A bit more on that from Mole Lava Tafafuna'i, in terms of themes, the main themes that you explore through your art.
Yeah. It's really just a celebration of who we are as people. The more I learn about our culture and you know, things like respect and honoring leadership and so forth, and knowing that our leadership comes from service, is really inspirational for me. That Pacific people, we are very, very humble people. But if you make us angry, hey, we'll kill you.
Unleash the beast, eh?
Yeah, we'll release the beast, you know, and people sometimes find out the hard way, but that's the beautiful balance of being Pacific, eh? We are grown up to respect, but that doesn't mean we're going to be a walkover, eh? If you step over, disrespect our parents or anything like that, be careful, eh?
Yeah.
As David Tua said, eh? Be careful
Lay
what
hands.
the next thing you say next, eh?
Lay hands,
Yeah.
As an artist, very passionate, but in terms a little bit about business, because it must be so amazing that you are actually making good income on something that you are passionate about. Tell us a little bit about that side.
That's really good. You know, when I first sold a piece quite quickly, I thought selling a piece of art for $400 was a lot of money. And it was back then. I thought, wow, I just sold a piece for $400. Someone wanted to buy my art for $400. But now that's the minimum I'll sell my piece for, and they sell in the thousands now.
What's the most expensive Tafafuna'i you've sold a piece for?
It's only $3,000 at the moment, but I know
only.
Yeah, but I know it, and I've sold heaps at 2,000 and countless at 1,000. But having said that, and I've said this to other artists, because I run a Facebook page called Pacific Artists United.
Nice.
And what I wanted to portray to our artists is value what you do. Value. Do not put yourself down and think that you can't sell at a really good price, and that you can't make a living from what you're doing. So I appreciate that I'm at the very small percentage of people that can make money or make a living out of it. And like each year I'm doubling my income as to how much I can sell. And it's not an easy thing, but I know that I'm blessed in doing so. You know?
You mentioned earlier, Tafafuna'i, that your pieces have sold all over the world. What's the furthest afield? What are we talking about? Europe, Asia, Middle East? Where?
Oh, it's just mainly to the States.
Wow.
Probably because, what's that word? Diaspora is
diaspora.
That's what. Yeah. I knew I should have stayed at school.
I just learned it. I just learned it today. Yes.
That's a flash word. Yeah. So you know, so a lot of Samoans and that went to the States, set up the family, and what resonates about home, a picture of a matai, you know, they go, oh man, that reminds me of my dad, Can so they'll buy it for a lot of money, and they'll pay for it to be shipped over. I did have an inquiry from some weird place, but long story short, most of it's America, Australia, and more often than not, it's in New Zealand.
When people buy your art, how does it make you feel?
Really good, when I look at the account there.
The mortgage is paid.
Man, I should have charged more than that. No, I'm joking. No, it's a beautiful thing. It's like, hey, you know, that's why I set up that page at Pacific Artists United. We have now 26,000 followers on there and artists, and I wanted to encourage people to say, man, you know, this gift that God's given you, it's not just to scribble on a piece of paper, make a living out of it. Enjoy what you do, value what you do. You know, people say, oh man, I don't want to buy that piece for $1,000. I think I said, well, what you don't know is that the hard work that went behind it to be able to get to that skill level, i.e. public speaking. I didn't just wake up and suddenly I can speak publicly. You know, it took a lot of hard grinding, and so valuing what you do, and don't let anyone devalue what you do as an artist. So I unashamedly say to people, no. You value your work, and we want to be up there with other artists,
Nice.
you know, Pacific artists. We got a place in the world, and it has great value. Yeah.
Is there like an end goal for you in terms of your art journey at this stage, Tafafuna'i?
Well, I haven't really thought about it. I think I want to get into the sculpturing, which I haven't done yet, because growing up, I've always been good with my hands.
Yeah.
And it sort of reminds me, just like last year, I had the privilege of co-exhibiting with renowned artist Fatu Fiao.
Oh, wow, yes.
He's like the OG father of Pacific arts. So we travelled down to Nelson and did a co-exhibition down there with a couple of other artists. And what a beautiful experience that was. You know, so things have been moving quickly. And it's a wonderful journey.
Awesome. I asked you earlier, Tafafuna'i, about what you took away from your time in the force. I always like to think about our next generation, our kids and grandkids that may be watching this. What's the message for them? Seeing someone who's served over 30 years in the New Zealand Police Force, but now is operating fully in their passion and God-given talent.
Yeah. My message is don't be one-dimensional.
Wow.
You know, I'm not just a cop, although I was a police officer for 30 years. Go and try different things. I retired and I became a bus driver, a school bus driver, which I do now.
Yeah.
But it's something I really enjoyed because I've done all the hard yards of stress and being a cop. Now I pick up kids and take them to school and take
the
them
stress of them making noise on the bus doesn't.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. Eh? And you get to go to places like art galleries and the museum and that.
Wow.
But back to the point I wanted to make is never be ashamed of who you are, what you want to do.
Nice.
Whether it's going metal detecting, whether it's going floundering. See, I've just got into floundering, and I fish, so I'm an avid fisherman. I write poetry.
Yeah.
I know I can take good photos because being an artist is about, being able to know what something looks good, how something looks good on paper or on a photo.
Nice.
So my encouragement to people is, if you ever had an inkling or wanted to be a public speaker or wanted to have a go, do it scared.
Nice, do it scared. I love that.
Do it scared, and then suddenly, man, I'm not so bad. Like writing poetry. God spoke to me in a dream, and he said, and I saw odes to my Lord. That's all I saw, and I woke up. I thought, odes. I didn't even know what ode was.
Yeah.
I kind of had an idea, so I had to look it up, and it said ode was like a poem.
Yeah.
And I said, oh well, Lord, I don't know if I can write poetry, but if you say I can, I'll give it a go. And
nice.
When I was in the Solomons, working in the Solomons, I penned 14 poems that night. Straight off, not even thinking. I wrote 14 poems, and it was all to God, saying how much I love him and how much he meant to me for pulling me out of the crap, really, of what I had made. Even being a cop, trying to find your identity in being a cop. No, my identity is not in being a cop. It's just what I did. My identity is in Christ Jesus, so all the gifts that he gives us is to glorify him and to do his bidding here on earth, so yeah.
Praise the Lord. Where can people find more of your artwork, Tafafuna'i, and also the Facebook page that you're admin of?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm the admin of Pacific Artists United. The key word being united, because I wanted to bring everyone together, not just Samoan, but Tongan and Niuean or whoever. Look on that Facebook page, but also have my own David Laumatia Pacific Art page and Instagram page. And if you see something you like, message me. Just about every second day, I'm getting messages, about hey, how much is that, or can I buy that, and not everyone can afford it, but quite often I'll do prints as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, frame
nice.
prints, which makes it more affordable
Yeah.
for people. But as you saw, I also gift art to people when I feel that way inclined. And while we're talking about that, I've got a piece for you.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, fella.
oh my gosh, I wasn't even. Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, stop it.
You don't get off that lightly.
Oh, my.
So that piece is for you. And that's
Wow.
his, that's sitting
Oh,
up
my
top.
gosh.
And there's
Yeah, right.
Brian Sangala. And I thought I'd give that to you, bro, just to bless you in your work.
Yeah.
And say Whakatei lava for coming and speaking to me, because you're a brother in Christ and brother in your work and your gifting. So, you encouraged me. So look at that, see?
Yeah, another one crying.
Yeah, why? Because not everyone gets a piece. And that's you, brother. You're a leader. You serve. You've got a heart to serve. And people respect you. So, yep.
Thank you
They
so
love
much,
you.
Tafafuna'i. I really, really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure, mate. My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Yeah.
Man, well, get a good one there.
Yeah.
That website again, one more time. Whakamole
Yeah.
lava Tafafuna'i.
Yeah, David Laumatia at Pacific Art and Pacific Artists United.
Come on, doing it scared, eh?
That's the one, brother.
It's the one. Well, that's us this evening. What a great way to end it. I'm so blessed and overwhelmed. Thank you so much again. Our guest this evening on Talanoa Moana. Sunga Tafafuna'i David Laumatia. I really appreciate your time also and keep up the amazing work. And again, we have included the link to Tafafuna'i's website in the description. And also for myself, if you are looking for an MC, feel free to DM me or contact me via my website, briansangala.co.nz. Join us next week for another episode of Talanoa Moana, where we will highlight another amazing story within our Pasifika diaspora. Well, God bless to Fasoi 4, and thank you again to Tafafuna'i. Awesome. Oh, let's do that.